Hey guys, I am so super excited to see you guys. Well, see you slash hear you. Well, connect with you. Okay, so we'll say connect. But I'm happy to be back in front of you guys with what? The Speakeasy podcast, where we go behind the scenes on what it takes to be the successfully paid speaker or author. I'm your host, Al Tavise Pelzer, professional speaker, certified life coach, all of those wonderful things, but founder of the World Voice League. Yes, a network of female speakers coming together to impact social change. Now, here's the thing. We always talk about what it takes to get to that success, but we're going to go a little extra today. Can we go a little extra today? I think we're going to go a little extra today because we're looking for extraordinary results, not just basic, definitely not average. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, you are definitely not average. I can guarantee that. But we're looking for extraordinary things to occur as a speaker. So I'm super excited about our guest for today. Hey, Casey, how are you?
I am so excited to be here. I've been excited, jazzed up for days. Knowing that this was coming up. And in fact, I'm so excited about this that I actually go to Las Vegas tomorrow and push that entire trip so I could just be here in full presence, not waste any time or chance that technology could go off on a little tangent. And so I'm just super thrilled to be here with you and your audience and really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what it takes on the ground to become a super successful, actually paid speaker, presenter, trainer extraordinaire. So I'm fired up.
I'm excited to have you here. So tell the guests a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Sure. So guys, my name is Casey Eber. I live in, or I should say I pay my mortgage in Los Angeles, California. And I say pay my mortgage because I have been able to somehow through the formula and strategies that we're going to talk about today, created a true life of freedom and travel and being able to get paid while speaking out on the road. In pretty much, I probably do about 100 events a year. So I'm do a lot of events, and we're going to talk about how those actually come about, and everything from small little network marketing training events all the way to Traffic and Conversion Summit, which is the largest internet marketers in the world, to the keynote speaker gig at the world's largest wedding professional show out in Las Vegas, and kind of everything in between. So I started out as a speaker, not even really deciding or wanting to go down that path. When I was a kid, I became the general manager of an amusement park and a water park up in Seattle, Washington, and found myself as the general manager having to give presentations in front of 25 raging hormoned teenagers as a raging hormoned teenager. And so if you have ever tried to have that conversation, if you can get through that, heckle away, because you cannot heckle me at all after that. And so from there, I ended up moving to Los Angeles to work in the movie business and really applied the same strategies in networking and building a network of people that you can draw upon when you need to get in front of somebody or have a relationship bud and bloom. And ended up working on a bunch of movies, produced a movie called Being John Malkovich. We took home a bunch of awards. I'm super proud of that. And from there, really started honing the craft of speaking, not because I set out and said, I want to be a speaker, but because I understood that the power of messaging and the power of leverage was, as a presenter, if I'm doing a one-on-one sales presentation, there's not really a bunch of leverage in that. But if you can get your message in front of multiple people, one to many is a little bit more leveraged. And where I really found the ability to connect with audience was when I got through the ego stage, and we'll probably talk about that. When we got through the ego stage and it was all about me, and I thought I was like this, how in the world has the world survived not hearing me present my products, goods, and services? And turns out they didn't care. But when I really got to a point of being able to connect with and really work with an audience and inspire them to take a step forward in their business, is when the whole world ended up. And everything else around that is just kind of fluff, because it's really about driving an audience to do something that the promoter of the show, the promoter of the podcast, the promoter of the event you're speaking at is actually asking. Before you and I got on, literally one of the first questions I said is, what do we want the audience to do? Tell me about the audience. How do we drive value? Where is the audience? What can I do to help promote your audience take a step forward in their business?
And that's critical, because I think we're at a stage where people are excited about what the opportunities of speaking, and there's kind of opportunities being like thrown at them sometimes, not necessarily the right opportunities, which is why I love what you said, because I want the audience to take a step forward. And when I learn that piece of me, it definitely takes a shift. So how did that shift happen for you?
Well, the shift happened for me. Honestly, I can kind of take it back to even when I was producing movies, and I have a lot of friends that are actors. Okay. And when I say actor, what I'm really saying is I got a lot of friends that claim to be actors, and if you can't see me, I'm doing air quotes right now, that claim to be actors, but the reality is they make their money serving beer or waiting tables, and they just consider themselves actors, again in air quotes, because they took some scene study courses, and then they get together with their other, quote, actor friends and all just complain about how broke they are. And the reason that they're all broke is, I believe, to be one of the fundamental reasons that a lot of speakers are broke and can't get in front of audiences. And so when I really looked at it and I started analyzing, I'm asking them lots of questions, here was the fundamental shift for me. If you look at a group of out-of-work actors, here's what you're going to find. You're going to find that their friend circle are other out-of-work actors. If you look at speakers that are not getting on stages and speakers that are not being invited to present and speak at events, their network primarily is going to be made up of other speakers that they can't get work with. And so the difference, I think, and the transformational piece is when I understood, or when we figured out that the network, if you're going to build relationships and pour your heart and soul into building your network of people, then for starters, how about we network with people that are actually going to hire us? And that's one of the most fundamental differences between speakers, friends of mine that don't get invited to speak places, and those of us that are working at basically at any time we open up dates on our schedule. My network are people that run podcasts. My network are people that run Facebook shows. My network are people that are event planners. My network of people are other speakers that are working. My network are people that are producing shows. They're putting their time, money, and energy up to put an audience in front of somebody. A guy like me goes right and says, how do I help drive your audience to do this? This is not about me. This is not about my audience. This is not about me at all. What I really want to be able to do is be nothing more than a tool or a leverage point for the producer to make more money in the event, to have a better experience for the audience members, to engage those audience members in something critical. The other speakers are behind stage talking about their last gig and their, the football game they played in 1982 where they got their Letterman's jacket as a speaker, yada, yada. And what I'm doing is I'm in front of the promoters going, great, who do you have taking pictures of you? Great, I'm going to sit in the front row, and as the promoters out there talking or doing their thing, I'm the one snapping photos and posting it on social media and promoting the event I'm at. I am there as a tool, literally, to help that event make money or save time or inspire or get somebody to open up. Whatever that promoter is doing, that's where my network is leveraged, not for the out-of-work speakers. And it is a critical component in networking to understand the business and the business model of how events are put together. If I hear one more speaker say, well, I have a great message and I went and produced 10,000 units of a book, I just got to get on stages. I'm like, good luck. Yeah, but Case, can you help me get on stages? I can, but I won't, because it's not worth it to me to leverage my relationship when you're kind of a D-bag just in it for yourself, trying to sell some books. But you come to me and say, hey, I know you're going to be on this podcast. It's a speakeasy podcast. I'd love to promote that to my network. I'd love to see how we can help other speakers learn from what you're talking about. Now we've got a game, right? Now we've got a game. So if all of us as speakers, whether we're in our beginning stages of our career or a little bit more mature in the career, it's really important to that it's huge to understand the business model. Right? So, for example, you do this podcast. I know how much time and effort and energy it takes to put on a show like this. You have helpers in the background making sure your lighting is correct and your hair is right. And I have the same set of helpers on my end, by the way, for a lot of us. That's kids and nephews. Right? And we have to make sure the background's right, that we peed before we started, that we are, what's the audience? And now what it really understands is you are allowing me to share the stage with you in your podcast. You're the promoter in this case. It's your baby. I'm just kind of a guest. So if I come on here and just talk about how awesome I am, at the end of the day, the audience is going to go, well, she's like kind of got this like jerk on there that's just talking about himself. And like, why would I even listen past the first break? Like, why bother? Where if the difference is like, before we started this, I'm like, how do I promote this on social media? Let's make sure we're connected. We're going to do. So I understand that the business is I'm being invited into somebody else's network where they've spent the money, the resources, the investment of their time putting that audience together. I can come in and I can destroy that in one 30-minute podcast. So as a promoter, my goal is I want you to ask me back. How do I get asked back? By making sure that whoever is listening, whoever is honoring us with the most valuable commodity that they have, which is their time, how do we help them get inspired to take one step further in their business, or 10 steps further, extraordinary 50 steps further in their business? How do we get them on their first stage? How do we get them in their first podcast interview? How do we get them in their first meetup group? How do we get them understanding stage swapping? How do we understand how to leverage each other's platform? How do we leverage going to even something as small and mundane as a local networking event? Like, I'm not going to go to a networking event, raise my hand and go, hi, my name is Casey. I'm a motivational speaker. Because then the response is, well, okay, why are you in the audience, like standing up at a table at like 6 o'clock in the morning, cracking like bad eggs and a chicken breast that early in the morning? Like, if you're so motivational, shouldn't you be up on stage motivating us? Right? So, and we may, we can talk about what to do at a networking event, but it's really core at all of our business at the base to understand what business we're all really in. And we are nothing really more than a sales tool for the promoter that's put up the money and the time and the resources to give us a place to play as speakers.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, I wonder if Casey and I are related. Maybe
I think clearly.
We clearly have a similar mindset when it comes to this. Because I hear so many people that it is about the me. It is about what they can do and what they can bring and who they are and how many people they've connected to and how much money they've made. The biggest thing right now, especially in the speaking industry, unfortunately, is showing people your 1099 and your PayPal account. And I'm just like, why?
Well, I'll tell you why. I mean, I'll break this down. I'll tell you why. And I train and coach tons of speakers. So I mean, this is, let me, for you that are listening, I'm going to share with you 3 stages of speaker maturity, and you plug your own presentation in where you think you fall. And it's going to be very obvious for the two of us to be able to say you're broke or you're making a ton of money. You're serving one person, meaning yourself, or you're serving the audience, and I know that you work with lots of women entrepreneurs and lots of women that may have had, a crappy past. And we want to be able to get them to tell their story in a way that helps the audience transform in some way. And when we get there, then it opens up. So here are the 3 stages. First speakers, the immature speakers, and I only mean immature, not in a super negative way, but more amateurs that maybe aren't as seasoned, okay? It always starts with I. Me, I. I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome. You should buy my book. You should buy my podcast. Or I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome, I'm awesome. Usually it starts with a big 40% of the presentation is how awesome I am. Here's a picture of my family. Let me tell you about me. And this is why I'm so awesome, right? And pretty soon you're like, I don't care that you have 12 kids and 37 dogs and that you're busy and you're now going to try to sell me a $2,000 program so I can support the dog food habit. Like, right? So we have to be clear that it's not about you, right? So that's kind of the first stage. When people first get started, a lot of folks, and I was speaking in front of 2,500 kids telling them not to grab ass with each other in an amusement park, and all I wanted to do was go play grab ass myself. So I thought I was all high and mighty and egotistical and listen to me, I have a microphone and it just can turn louder than you, right? And I'm awesome and I've been given this job and you're going to respect me. And it's very egocentric. It was terrible. It was gross. Like I should have gone and slapped myself upside the head, right? But what it did was it forced me to grow into the second stage, which is your product is awesome. My product's awesome and I'm awesome, so you should just throw your money my way because my product is awesome. Let me show you my PayPal account where I've shown everybody else how 77,106 people bought my product for $912 in the last 7 seconds because I'm so absolutely awesome, right? So I'm awesome, my product's awesome, and I'm awesome, so you should buy my stuff because my product is so awesome and I'm awesome. Okay? I don't know why I literally think I'm the only one in the world that still has a fax machine. And I somehow have figured out to dial a home phone, second piece of archaic technology, into first archaic piece of technology, a fax machine. Now, the hilarious thing is anybody calling that landline is just going to get the beep, 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 which is hilarious to me. So you got to be able to do stuff on the fly. And we're going to talk about that as well. So I'm awesome. My product's awesome. And pretty soon, people tire of that. They don't want to just sit in a room and be sold a book or sold how awesome your tool or your system or your course or your coaching or your podcast. Nobody wants to hear any of that. And especially if it's couched in, you're so awesome, like, I'm just going to be so lucky to give you my money because all I want to do is just be in the same ecosystem as you. It's like, come on, we're missing the point here. And when that wears thin, usually that's when a speaker says, I can't make any money, I'm a terrible speaker, I don't know what I'm doing or whatever. And then something happens, and it's usually a particular event where they go in and they're willing to try something new because nothing changes until the pain of changing is less than the pain of staying the same, right? So somebody's going to be like, look, I'll have you on stage, but, you're kind of terrible. So I'm going to put you on, at the end of the day when there's nobody in the room. Right? Or, something happens where a speaker bows out and at the last minute, they're like, okay, who in the room can I call as a speaker? Great. Do you have a 10-minute ready to go? Great. Go up here. And a speaker goes up and is truly there for the audience. It's when the speech or the presentation goes from your head to your heart, right? And you really become somebody that is willing to help the audience have that transformational moment, whatever that is. They tear up, they have an emotional response, they see something that they saw in a different perspective. They may have had a judgment on who you are as a person, and now they're not as judgmental, or you may have cracked the code of race relations or sexuality relations or religious crack through, or, I know you work a lot with abused women or women that have had some challenges in that area in the past, maybe understanding or having their voice heard for the first time. And when that really comes from a truly genuine, authentic point of view in a way that allows the promoter to still win and the audience to win, it's a lock. Like, you're done. You've just hit the third stage of speaking, and it is a complete game changer. And so I think we all, if I look at every speaker that I know, and let's put them in categories of people that I know that make over, I'll pick a fairly low number, like 50,000 a year speaking. If I look at all the people that make above that, what I find is 90% of them have had that one transformational presentation that catapulted them into really understanding the promoters we have to help win and the audience we have to help win. And we're just a yahoo with a microphone. We are a battery-powered message machine. Nothing more, nothing less. And if you can make people laugh and you can make people have a good time and deliver a message and make them walk out the door and go, oh my gosh, I'm having the best time at this event, and you build the network of people that are promoting events, the promoters all talk.
That's it. Oh my goodness, say that again.
The promoters all talk. And I'll tell you, it is when you crack into that clique of promoters, what you are going to find is you are going to hear those behind the scenes conversations that are not normally having speakers here. And it is shocking to the core when you are in a production room with a bunch of promoters and you hear how they are referring to folks like you and I, the other speakers. And all I can tell you is it's much more fun and much easier to be on the inside of that clique than on the outside.
So I'm sitting here and I'm laughing because it goes right into that networking piece. One of the things that I started this year was going back to, listen, it's about community partnership. You're out here trying to be the master of everything and end up being the master of nothing. If you would just pull back and say, what am I good at and how can I serve someone else? Then you can build a network within that. And the pushback that I'm always getting is that when you say networking, immediately people think 500 business cards, a bunch of people standing around in suits, and I have to go and hand everybody a business card.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's why as an introvert and as a speaker, which sometimes I think is a little bit kind of an oxymoron, right? I don't know how much of it is oxy and how much of it is moron, but nonetheless, right? So let me share from a speaker's perspective. When you go to a networking event, whether it's a morning BNI meeting or a chamber meeting or a church barbecue or whatever, kind of all of those events really kind of have the same format. There's usually somebody that's worked their ass off to put it together. There's a group of people that are all there as an audience that are swapping business cards, not knowing what to do. And there's usually some kind of presentation. Okay? So if you know that, let me talk to you all from a speaker to speaker, peer to peer, friend to friend. Here's the deal. There's only 5 people at every single event you ever need to talk to. 5. Very simple, very, very simple formula. You need to get to know the speaker, you need to get to know the organizer, and you need to get to know the 3 biggest yap jobs in the room. Okay? Speaker, I don't walk into an event not knowing who the speaker is, what their background is, having connected with them on social media. I even know what book they wrote, what their podcast is, whatever, because I know later on I'm going to promote the crap out of that speaker. Number 2, the organizer. The organizer is the one making the decision who the speakers are. So I want to get to know the organizers. You know who doesn't talk to the organizers? Everybody trying to sell a bunch of stuff to a bunch of people at an event that aren't buying anything. Nobody goes to an event to buy something. So number 1, stop selling, and you're going to be light years ahead of everybody. Nobody's there to buy anything. They're all there to sell their crap to the same group of people that aren't there to buy anything. Meanwhile, all that happens is a bunch of pieces of paper get passed around, some Triscuits and a Dixie cup of wine get bought for $20, right? So get to know the organizers. Help the organizers. I'm like the goofball that's out in the parking lot dragging in registration books and dragging in registration stuff at an event because the organizers are the people with influence. Number 3, 4, and 5 are the biggest yap jobs in the room. Here's how you know who they are. Number 1, they will not be talking to each other. Number 2, they will have a group of people around them and they will think they are awesome. They are in stage 1. I'm awesome. Listen to my jokes. I'm so funny. He, he. They will have their backs to the wall facing out so everybody can know them. They're the loud, obnoxious ones. I want to get to know those 3. Why? Because they're loud and obnoxious. We got to have our network talk about us versus us talk about us. Remember, we're in number 3. So I want the network to talk about me. I don't want to talk about myself at all. Right? So you're at this event. I'll give you a small, very prime example of how this works in real time. So BNI is the world's largest networking organization. It's called Business Networking International. It's founded by a guy named Dr. Ivan Misner. Ivan Misner travels around, and he's a bigwig. He's written like 77 trillion books and yada, yada, yada. He's got a bunch of credentials. So he rolls into Los Angeles. And I knew he was coming. I knew what book he was promoting. He had written a book for Networking Times magazine the month before about the networking skill set of the Easter Rabbit and Santa Claus. Totally stupid article, but it helped him sell more books. It was basically a cover-up to sell books. I'm like, got it. So I roll into this BNI event. There's 500 people at this event, and they're all like jumping around and selling each other crap nobody's buying. It's too early in the morning for that. So I see this guy, and he's in the back of the room. He's in the back of the room drinking a cup of coffee, and nobody is talking to him. I marched right up to him. I'm like, Dr. Misner, my name's Casey Eberhardt. I work with this company, and I just want to tell you that I just read your article in Networking Times on the Easter Rabbit and Santa Claus, and I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to hear how it relates to your book. He said, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you kind of, when it comes time for Q&A, will you bring that up? Because it'll help me actually leverage into books. I'm like, absolutely, right? So the goofball dings the fork with the glass, and it's like everybody's going to sit down and have their terrible breakfast and listen to this guy talk. And I literally take my chair, and I hold it above my head, and I walk all the way to the front of the room, and I literally plant it right in front of the podium. So this guy is watching me straight on from the word go. And I remember the table, they were like, oh, well, we have a full table. I go, oh, I'm not eating breakfast. I could care less about the breakfast. I'm here to watch the speaker. The breakfast is so irrelevant. I could care less. So he gets done, he's yammering on, and he's looking at me, and I'm being a great audience member. Remember, I'm a speaker. So I know the audience. I know the energy that's going back and forth. And then he says the magic words. Hey, does anybody have any questions? And no joke, I turn into Arnold Horshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. Ooh, me, teach. Ooh, over here. Teach right here. I made sure he could see me right in front, and he goes, Casey. He already knew my name. Remember, I had already talked to him ahead of time, and I took my name tag and I put it right in front of my chest so he could read it from the audience, read it from the stage. He goes, you guys, this is my friend Casey. We just met backstage. He happens to work with this company, and he literally launched in for an 11-minute dissertation on me talking to him and the company I was with. He didn't even get to his thing, and I'm just standing in front of 500 people doing the Disney princess wave. Elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist, clutch your pearls, and blow a kiss. Like, I had mastered that, and this guy is promoting me for 11 minutes. Why? Because I took 10 minutes before I got there to find out what book he was selling, what he had going on, what article he had, and I walked up and reached out. So you had 500 people selling stuff to people that weren't there to buy anything. Now, funny part of that story, based on that meeting, I found myself 5 years later being called by Misner to actually come in and consult for an entire region of BNI to get their chapters up and running. So that's one element. So for you that are at a networking event, meet the speaker ahead of time. If the speaker fumbles, we're peers. Somebody's got to come up and save me. You see me shaking, somebody better grab a chair and get it up on stage because I'm having vertigo or I'm having a panic attack. I start crying, somebody better be there. Somebody better be there with a box of Kleenex. I start, my throat going dry, somebody better walk up with some tea. As speakers, guys, we got to stick together. We have to watch each other's back. So speakers, organizers, and then the 3 biggest yap jobs. Now, those 5, all I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to make them feel amazing. I'm going to connect with them on social media. I'm going to present I'm going to share their stuff. I might send them, I might send them a celebration cake that has personalized with their name on it. I'm going to do whatever I can to make them feel amazing. So the next time I walk in the room, they know who I am. And the way to do that is to understand who the most powerful woman in the world is, right? And so I'm going to just jump to it because I know we talked about this. I asked you before we started who the top woman in the world, most powerful woman in the world, and who did you give me?
Right now, I said Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, and Beyonce.
And Beyonce, right? So if I look at Michelle Obama, what does she sell? Maybe you could say she sells a book or whatever. What does Beyonce sell? She's an artist. She sells her artwork, which is in this case music. But let's hone in on Oprah. And by the way, it doesn't matter if I ask one person. It doesn't matter if I ask a group of 20,000. It doesn't matter if I ask white women, Hispanic men, Japanese girls, K-pop fans, New Kid on the Block fans. It doesn't matter. I get Oprah Winfrey every single time, and she's been off the air for almost 20 years. The woman has figured out the formula to crack the influence code. All she does is sell her influence. She says, buy a book. What happens? All these trees somewhere in like Costa Rica are like, no, because they know they're going to be put into a book, right? She sells her influence. So let's be like Oprah. Does Oprah rock into a networking event and sit at the table with everybody else and eat eggs and try to pass business cards? No. She has figured out the formula. It's very simple. OPC plus TR equals MC. OPC, other people's content, plus TR, their reach, right? She doesn't have people on her show that have 6 Instagram followers, kids. So if you're not out building a tribe, why would I get asked on a podcast, or you get asked on a podcast, you go, oh, I don't believe in social media. Okay, well, I got 2 words for you. Pass. Oh, you didn't hear me the first time? Pass, right? Plus their reach equals more contacts. So we're doing this great interview, right? At the end of it, your goal is that you're going to take some of the people that I bring to the table, and they're going to fall in love with you and your show, and they become audience listeners for life. I am blessed to be invited into your network of audience, and there might be 1 or 2 goofs that go, oh my God, that was really funny. I know who Arnold Horshack is. And there are going to be people that are like, I don't know who Arnold Horshack is. What's this? And some of those folks might find me on social media or whatever. And that's how the influence game works. So going back when we talked about putting that network together, find the folks that have the opportunity to bring us on stages and make them feel like $1 million and hang out with the right people. And you're not going to go sit at a network. Look, I mean, come on. You really are going to go stand as a 30-second commercial rolls around and go, hi, my name is Casey Eber. I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm so not motivating that I'm sitting here in front of you asking you to just put me in front of somebody that's going to make me give the opportunity to motivate you and buy my crappy book.
That part.
Yep. So I'll show you exactly how my 30-second spots go. If I end up finding myself in that situation, remember, I've met the speaker, I've met the organizer, I've met the 3 of us yap jobs before the breakfast ever starts. Right? So if I get up there and I go, and by the way, when I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to tell you right now, the first time you do it, it's the most awkward, weird feeling that you're ever going to have. But you know what? We're speakers and we better get used to it. Right? Come talk to me when you have a Bible thrown at you. That's all I'm saying. Okay? So here's the deal, right? Here's how I stand up. Hey, everybody. My name is Casey Eber. I am super excited to be here. I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to Altaviz about the Speakeasy podcast, but she has put together an amazing program where she helps women entrepreneurs who desire to get their message out, mainly from an abusive relationship, and how to really crack open that story and that code to get them in front of their right audience and absolutely build whatever business is in their portfolio. If you're not a guest on, or at the very least an audience member of the Speakeasy podcast, you are doing yourself a disservice. Go connect with her. Where are you? Oh, raise your hand. Awesome. And then I sit down. Period. Because here's the thing. Nobody is listening to any of those people talk because they are either panicked that it's coming to them and they haven't prepared themselves, or they just went and they're like, oh.
Wait. So go back. Because see, I know somebody right then just had a moment where they just flatlined.
Yep, probably.
They just said, but wait, you didn't talk about you.
Not at all.
That part.
Yeah, because here's the thing. And it actually drives me crazy. Like I teach a networking course, right? I have a 2-day class and we talk about this. And that is, it drives me crazy that they even call it a commercial. They call it a 30-second commercial, which is for you to get up and sell stuff yourself. You've got 30 seconds to sell yourself to a group of people that are not buyers. They're not nobody rocks up. For those of you that don't know what I'm holding up, it's called a checkbook. If you're under the age of 40, you probably really don't have an idea. But back in the old days, back in the 80s, before you were even born or thought of being born, you were nothing more than a date. We used to write checks to move money around. Nobody rocks into a networking event going, okay, I am here. I've got $17,000 to spend. I need a new roof. I need a new insurance policy, and I need a massage. This is not how people think. They're too focused on selling their own crap to a bunch of people that aren't buying. Remember, speaker, organizer, 3-base yap job. The only person that is going to listen to you talk at your 30-second commercial is the person you're highlighting from the front of the room. So if it's an organizer, stand up and go, hey guys, my name is Casey Eber, and oh my gosh, it's awesome to be here. But I got to tell you, the 3 ladies in the back that have like checked us in and made sure that we've had our breakfast here and made sure we've got this amazing room and they brought in this amazing speaker, like they deserve a hand. So can we just take 5 seconds and just really acknowledge how absolutely awesome they are? Stand up, ladies. Awesome. The only person listening to you yammer on are the 3 people you just made feel like a rock star. They are the influencers in the room. Stop trying to be with your broke actor buddies or your out-of-work speakers. Build your relationships with the people that have stuff going on. The head of organizations. And if somebody cracks out and doesn't show up or ends 30 minutes early and you see the organizers panicked and you've made them feel like a rock star, Case, hey, God, the speaker didn't show up. They got stuck in traffic. Can you run up there? Absolutely. What was the speaker going to get the audience to do? Great. Do you have a copy of the speaker's book? Great. And I go up there and I basically promote that speaker who would have been there. I can quickly try to do their presentation and make them look like a rock star. Now, all of a sudden, what happens? The organizers are like, oh my gosh, we hired some guy to talk about networking and we had a lady come up and she was talking about abused women. It's a marketing message mismatch. The audience is not respected. They are there to learn about networking. My job is to get up there and present. So if I get up there and I go, great, the speaker was Hank Uloff, and he was going to talk about the marketing checklist, 80 simple ways to master your marketing. Awesome. Hey, guys, so I know Hank. I've been friends with him. Now, in this case, I do know Hank. But, hey, he wrote this book. He was going to be here today, but he's stuck in traffic. So I went through right before we got started, and I highlighted 7 of his checklist items. So I'm just going to read them to you, and let's just talk about this together. This is awesome. Bam, 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 bam. How does this help you in your business? Well, because 7 simple square inches of recognition. I never knew a business card was 7 inches. Did you? And I've made it about Hank. So when he does walk into the room, now what? Everyone's going to be like, oh, dude, this cat over here, he just talked about your book, and he's like, I'm going to sell books. Awesome. The organizers know now that you respect their audience.
Oh, that is such a powerful piece that many people miss. Do you respect? Well, it's always a struggle because I tell people there's a few things when it comes to the audience. Have you researched who is normally in the audience, and do you respect the audience? Because if you have not researched the audience, the running joke was you get excited about being invited to speak at a horse farmers convention and you know nothing about horses.
Yep. And I'm going to, and let me take this a half step further to your point. And this is, I'm going to get close to a line here, but I think it's important, and I'm going to probably cross it just a tiny bit. And I'm primarily speaking to you ladies, you amazing women that are speakers coming up through the ranks of speakers. Number one, let me just tell you, our profession has too many white dudes in it. Number one, there is a massive opportunity not only for women, but women of color, women of different points of view. It is the decade of women. So you ladies have an opportunity here as a group to really cause major impact in a profession that is primarily dominated by white dudes that have figured out how to network. Number one. Number two, understand that in 99% of your audiences, you are going to have men in the room. So even though we might primarily work with women entrepreneurs or women entrepreneurs that like earrings, or women entrepreneurs that are of a certain color or an ethnicity or of a religion or a political persuasion, you have to understand that as a promoter, if there are men in the room, you're just not going to get asked to speak that often because you're only talking to one half of the room. So if you are a coach or a life coach or a trainer or another speaker that spends their time really diving in and driving messages primarily for women, the best piece of advice I can give you from just a guy that's, a white dude that's kind of in that marketplace is that share your message in such a way that it encompasses everybody in the room. Because if you start and you go in, I only talk to Hispanic women Republicans, that might be a niche. It's a tiny niche, but a niche, right? That's great, but we have to get in front of that niche. So the reality is most of the time we're going to be in front of a room filled with people that are young, old, fat, skinny, tall, short, black, white, Hispanic, English is their first language, English as their seventh language. We have to be able to respect the promoter's audience. And I cannot overstress that enough. So if you have a presentation that you're doing and it's geared towards, women trying to get over cancer or women that are dealing with alcoholic ex-husbands or whatever, or how to raise a teenager, just understand that while you try to niche it down, you might be alienating yourself. And ladies, I'm just telling you, I'm begging you as a white dude, for lack of I know I keep saying that, but you have an opportunity at your fingertips right now more than ever in the history of speaking and messaging and social impact to drive and deliver a message as a group of women, as a sisterhood, in a way that guys don't have. And that is something that is so powerful, and if you respect it and you help the sisterhood grow, the opportunity for you women as speakers in the big world of speaking has never been greater. But it is categorically, I don't even know how to overemphasize, important that you understand the model of business so that the audience gets moved forward. And the reality is that we live in a guy's world in promoters. A lot of the promoters are guys. A lot of the event planners are ladies. So the reality is they are getting requests in front of rooms all the time. I don't want to hear a bunch of just dudes all day long. But the challenge is, from their perspective, having had thousands of conversations with them, the challenge is that a lot of times ladies will put in their name into the hat or have their speaker thing, and they'll say, I only speak to women entrepreneurs, or I only speak to women about money, or I only speak to women about being abused. And the second a promoter sees that and their audience is 50% men, you're out of the market. You're out of the running before you ever start. So that's my as powerful as I can get, especially speaking to women speakers.
Yeah, that networking is so important. And as women, we have such a huge opportunity, and we miss out because we don't have that idea. We don't have that moment where we just come to clarity about, you know what, there's something bigger here. I need to tap into whatever is necessary in order for me to be a part of whatever is going on that's bigger. And again, we get sidetracked. Social media is a great way to get sidetracked, okay? It's a great way.
Helping each other. I mean, I have lots of women friends of mine that are speakers. I live in that world. And I'm kind of shocked a little bit that sometimes you ladies tend to get a little mean girl with each other, whereas the guys, we don't have that. The guys are like, we're making up fun games to mess with each other, you know. And sometimes the ladies are all on board and helping each other and really have each other's backs. But try to stay out of gossip. Try to stay out of it being about, oh, well, I don't like how she looks in that dress and I can't like her shoes and she doesn't deliver a message. Women, you guys have, you ladies have such, like, I almost tear up with the opportunity in this profession that is thirsty for your message. Thirsty. Just give it to us in a chilled wine glass.
Oh my goodness, that was, whew. Listen, one of the things, it leads me into my next question though, because I want to, we're talking about some of the positive things, and then we're also delving into a lot of the behind the scene things that many people don't discuss. Many people don't talk about, you know, the fact that as women, yeah, there's a whole other aspect to women as a speaker and what we go through and all of that behind the scenes. Listen, I've told people before, I had a woman come up to me and tell me, you need a waist trainer on. I mean, you know, just the things that people say out of their mouths. But with that being said, have you had any blunders in this journey so far? Anything that you can look back and say, that might not have been the best idea or the best decision?
Yep, I have. And so this is a great philosophy. Well, I say it's great. I'm biased because it's just mine. But so here's how kind of I approach things. First off, I understand that it is not about me. It's about the audience. Number two, there are 5 topics that I always try to stay away from in examples, social media. Like, I've watched so many people, they'll go post a bunch of stuff on social media and then they go speak at an event. And people in the audience are looking them up and seeing what they wrote, and it's a no-go. So I never talk about sex, sports, politics, religion, or negativity. None of it. I know people have a bad experience at Delta Airlines, right? I mean, it's called "Don't Expect Luggage to Arrive." So if you go there and your luggage doesn't arrive, you posting it on social media really just tells the world that you're willing to go talk about something negative on your social media, right? If I go on and I say, I love Michelle Obama, about 50% of people are on board, 50% of people are out. If I go on and I say, I hate Hillary Clinton, 50% of the people are in, 50% of the people are out. And I don't get seduced into thinking, oh, well, you got to take a strong point of view and it's this and that is, as a speaker, we are presenters, we are delivering a message. Let that filter through to who you are. It's okay to have opinions, but I always stand up for what I truly believe to be right. I have a very steady moral compass. I make it, I have a philosophy of I am always going to stick up for speakers and people that are in that world. And I don't sell, pitch, or promote or speak at an event where I would be embarrassed to ask my mother for a credit card. And if I can be proud of the events I speak at and the opportunities to promote events and tools and systems and associations, then I'll move forward on it. But if somebody wants and says, oh, I want you to pitch this and you're going to make all this money. Well, if I can't in good conscience go to my mom and say, Mom, I need your credit card, 16 digits and expiration date, I don't stick to it. So I think when people use blunders, or I look at myself in blunders, it's when I've gone off script of that. I'm also very, very conscientious. And again, let me just speak from a sexist point of view. when I do introductions or I'm laying down an introduction, I tend to do what I don't do is talk about a man speaker and talk about how smart he is and how fantastic he is, and then I introduce a woman and say how beautiful she is. That's a no-go. So, it's funny because out on the circuit, lots of my friends have me do their introduction. They're like, especially a lot of my women friends, they're like, you're the only one that doesn't talk about how beautiful we are coming up to stage. Like you're talking about, and I am very conscientious. Like I've even caught myself in this where I say, hey guys, when I really mean the collective, that's sexist language. And that's why I say, hey ladies, or all of us, business people, business women, businessmen. The blunders I've made have really come down in language. I'll give you a very classic blunder. This is my own blunder, and I just use it as an example because, again, not having researched who I was introducing a very, very big name in the internet marketing Shopify world. Okay? Massive. Dude makes millions and millions of dollars, speaks all over the world. Most of you would even know who it is if I said his name. And I got caught up in the hype, and I got up on stage and I talked about how awesome he was. And I was like, he's crushing it. You guys, he's absolutely just killing it. He's crushing it. Give it up for it. And I gave out his name. What I didn't know is that he was so genuine that he got up and he's like, crushing it to me sounds like I'm beating somebody down. I'm killing it is a negative term. My audience wants to be here and wants to learn. So I don't ever want to crush anything. And I was like, okay. And so, it's just super important that you want to, again, go back to honoring who's in the room and what they are. And if it is, I am super, super fortunate and blessed to be asked to speak at a lot of women's events. And I tend to have a great, being able to have great conversations with women and great conversations of women of completely different ethnicities and races and political viewpoints. Like I kind of play the neutral game. And so there's a lot of times where I'll say, okay, look, I know you're in this room. What do you refer to yourselves? Do you call yourselves ladies? Do you call yourself women? Do you refer to women of color? Do you call yourself African American? Do you call yourself black ladies? Like what's the term that I can use that uses the most respect for the audience that's going to be in that room? And by just taking a few moments to really acknowledge who's in the room, so the blunders all come when I don't do that.
And you know what? I have to say that the silver lining through everything that you've been able to share here on today's episode was the ask. When it comes to networking, asking, about somebody else instead of just being worried about you. When it comes to the audience, asking what it is that they're interested in and how they would like to be presented to. It's all back to the ask. And in order for us to be able to ask, we got to go ahead and we got to shut our mouths and stop talking about ourselves. And that means that we got to come against that ego that we talked about in the beginning of the episode.
Because we get paid to speak. That's the hard part for speakers. Is like the time to speak is when you have a battery pack on your bra and the mute button is off and your voice is being amplified. Every time other than that, your job is to figure out how to make that piece the most impactful you can by shutting your pie hole and asking really good questions and making somebody else feel awesome. Because the reality is when we're on stage, we're going to feel awesome. We're going to have our ego boosted. People are going to love us. People are going to want our autograph. People are going to buy our crap, right? When we're off that stage, ladies and gentlemen, when we are off that stage, it is our duty to figure out how to have that experience with the audience in such a way that the promoter goes, oh my gosh, that was worth the risk. Because we are a risk. Somebody puts me on stage, it is not lost on me for 1 second. It's their reputation that they are willing to leverage to put a goofball like me up on stage. I have one shot to either be asked back or to be part of that discussion that goes on behind the scenes with all those other promoters. It's, oh my gosh, he got on stage and he dropped the F-bomb 30 times. Or, oh, he got on stage and started talking about his racist viewpoint. Or, oh, he got on stage and started talking bad about the gays. Or, oh, he got on stage and all he did was sell. And, oh my gosh, he didn't follow the rules. We asked him not to say his social media site and he got up there and put a Twitter handle up there. Oh my gosh, don't be that person because you're only going to get one shot. And they all talk. They all talk. And if you're ladies, let me just tell you, if they talk like you're all in the bathroom together. I don't know what goes on in there, but from what I hear.
And that's the exact image that popped up in my head when you first said it, because I was like, yeah, I know of a lot of the PR, the different PR, actually big name people in the PR industry. And I just go, I'm the silent person in the room sometimes, because as the introvert, we listen a whole lot more than we speak anyway. That's that, being that introvert. And so you listen to what's going on in the room. You listen to the things that are being talked about, and man, oh man,
yep.
Take notes.
And can I just give one more piece of advice? I know we've gone way over, and I'm super respectful of time. I'm just having I think we're having such a great time. Here's the other thing. Your first 50 presentations, guys and gals, are going to suck. They're going to suck. So if we already know they're going to suck, you're not going to get to number 51 without going through 1 through 50. So now's the time to either start a podcast or do Facebook Lives or go to some meetup groups or create an environment where you can have as little risk as possible to get really good at honing in your jokes and your messaging and your stage presence. Things like when you're on one side of the stage, you want to be looking towards the other back of the audience and always a diagonal so that you're not alienating half bit. You're going to learn real quick that if it's a stage and it's put together in sections and they're 4x8 sections, you're going to learn real quick to get up there and assess the floor and figure out where your stiletto is going to not fall in a crack. You're going to go up ahead of time and you're going to mark it with tape. All those little things are going to come out of you doing your craft over and over and over again. Where is the handrail? Are the stairs actually connected to the stage, or are they wobbly? If you're a lady, is there going to be a guy there helping you up the stage and off the stage? How does the AV department work? Ladies, don't roll into an event and have a spring dress on and not be wearing a bra because the guys can't figure out where to put a microphone. Right? If you're wearing a necklace and that necklace is really big and clunky and they got a microphone on you, you better figure out, you're going to learn real quick that having a microphone down right over your boob is probably not the best place for a microphone, right? So those are all little things that you're going to get through experience. So go out, be a guest on a bunch of podcasts. You want to know a bunch of podcasts that you can go mess it all up on? Go to Fiverr.com and look up podcasts and go pay $5 to be on somebody's podcast that they're just starting. Let them ask you questions. Get put in a corner. Get stuck. Because you got to get to number 51. And that only comes from you out there on the ground actually doing it.
That's right. You got to get the work done. You got to put in the work. That is so very true. Oh my goodness, this episode has been absolutely phenomenal. I was in my mind going, should we split it? Should I just do the whole episode? I may split it. I don't know. But I'm excited because you hit on so many different key elements when it comes to the speaking industry and as a whole, the speaking industry that, again, a lot of people are not discussing. And it makes a huge difference because those who are coming in with little kid eyes. When you come in, you're coming in excited. You're coming in, I want to be Lisa Nichols. I want to be Les Brown. I want to be E.T., Eric Thomas on the stage. I want to be those people. And that's, the mentality when they come in and they miss so many different significant.
Yeah, because they see the end product. I mean, I've known Les
Exactly.
for years. I've known Lisa for years, right? And if you watch both of them, they sell more by not ever selling anything. Les Brown can get up there and at a moment's notice, he literally will go, how much time? 6 minutes? Great. And he can bang out stories about mom and sitting on the porch. And by the end of it, you're like, I want to have your childhood and it was shitty. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, I shouldn't have swore. I totally apologize. So, again, remember how I said blender? We'll edit this one.
No, but it's the truth.
Thank you so much for doing this and putting the work into putting a podcast together. I've gone back and listened to several episodes, and it is awesome to watch the journey and what you're bringing and what the audience is bringing to the table. And it is a true honor. And I can't tell you how much I respect what you're doing as a podcaster, as a speaker, as a woman, and just out there like doing the work and bringing the message and bringing the opportunity to a whole group of people that, right now would be like scrolling up on Snapchat, and instead they're paying attention. So just thank you. And thanks to the audience as well. I know you guys, we've been with you for a while and we've gone back and forth. We've kind of gone way over time, but if there's anything that we can do to help you move further along your speaking business, hit us up. We're here to help.
Definitely. Oh, and let them know how they can connect with you.
Yeah, so I'm a big Facebooker. So I'm all over Facebook under Casey D. Eberhardt. And then if you want, that's probably the easiest way to find me. And yeah.
I love it. And guys, I always love bringing you a variety of guests. We've had Academy Award winners. We've had the founder of Zero Shoes. We've had so many different people come on because I want you to understand that everybody has a starting place. And right where you are right now is your starting place. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. It doesn't matter, what rocky starts you had. Your starting place is now. And if you can take just a few things from this episode and implement them, then it will help you to move forward. That's always the number one goal, is to be able to move forward in your business as a speaker or as an author. And for that, I'm appreciative, because guess what? I love being able to come and talk to you guys. Without the Speak Easy podcast listeners, there would be no Speak Easy podcast. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure that you let us know how this particular episode resonated with you. We would love to know. And not just that, guys, if you're a speaker and author, I would love to have you up on the platform as a guest. If you go to bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast, all lowercase, by all means, come on and join the conversation. No matter where you are in your journey, it's something in your journey that can help somebody else. With that being said, I'm your host, Altavis Pelzer, guys. And until next time, don't forget to press it out. See ya.
Bye, Altavis.